All right, ladies and gentlemen, big welcome back. And I'm going to tell you this is going to be a fun little story. And go grab yourself a beer and some popcorn or whatever the hell you want. Get something, sit back and enjoy. And when I say enjoy, I probably am going to go ahead and guess that there's going to be about a 60% enjoyment rate and 40% dislike on the video. Um, but anyway, I'll tell you how this story plays out. Obviously, you can see by the title, we're going to have an issue with Port Authority down in Hamilton Harbor, Hamilton, Ontario. So we're going to get to that. But first, we're going to go for a little fly around some steel mills and some ships and shit like that. And then we'll get to the details of that. So here I am sitting at home, minding my own business, cleaning out my garage, getting ready to make some car videos because I haven't done a car video in a while. And then I was taking a bit of a break, and then my buddy Homeless Tony gets a hold of me, and he's like, "Hey, Mikey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Not much, just kind of chilling. Was gonna work on the car or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, really? Well, I'm on my way down to Hamilton to the beach, and I thought maybe you wanted to go fly." So I was like, "Sure, Tony. Yeah, I'll come down. I'll meet you." So I go ahead, gas up my truck, and make my way down to the beach. Not where we are. We'll get to that. So we go over to the beach, and we end up talking to a couple of dudes that were fellow drone pilots, whatever. Said hi, whatever, all's good. But I'm like, over where we were at the beach wasn't overly interesting. There was no real ice buildup and shit like that. So I was like, you know what? I know another spot we can go. We can go over by the factories because they were all saying how cool it would be to fly by the factories, and I've done it a bunch of times. Anyway, so Tony and I, those other guys, they leave, go their way or whatever. Tony and I come to go fly over by the factories. And I pull into the spot where I took off from there, um, which is, sorry, my Uber Eats delivery is deep dinging at me here while I'm trying to make a video. Um, anyway, we come over here, and I take off my way, Tony goes his way, and we're just sitting in my truck, and we're both doing our own thing. And then how high are you and where are you and all that, so that we don't run into each other and shit. And we're having a good time, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just checking out. I went over by the factories, but it was pretty windy, so I was trying to be pretty cautious with my drone. And Tony wasn't flying very far with his. He's not familiar with this area. He had never flown here before, so he was keeping his pretty close by. And I didn't even check out his footage, so I don't even know what he flew around exactly. I'll have to find out. Um, but anyway, so I'm out minding my business, and I see this little tiny ship here. So I'm like, that's a small ship. Let's go check it out. And I think I flew by, I don't know, this ship or another small ship, oh, maybe a couple of years ago or something like that. I don't know, another small ship right here. Anyway, and I thought it was kind of cool seeing, like, it's almost like how my car, which is an MG Midget, is like a mini car. Well, this is like a mini ship, obviously in size compared to the other ones. So I don't know if it's just goes places in the world that the bigger ships can't fit. But anyway, it's not equal in size. So it's like a smaller version. But anyway, I was like, oh, this is cool. Whatever. Hit the brakes, come back. We're going to check it out. And just kind of while we're flying around, I'll mention a lot of times I know people are worried about flying DJIs in the wind and the cold and all that. And so I do get some wind warnings, and I got cold weather warnings. But being that I've been flying for so many years, I've learned to read what the drones can and can't handle. So my experience is fine with the drone with the cold and wind. I've flown all the way to like minus 20 degrees Celsius. I've got a video on my channel of it, and no issues at all. Obviously, don't get quite as long a flight time, but that's not a big deal. Anyway, sorry guys, if you were just here for the story about Port Patrol, that's going to be somewhere near the end, but you might as well just watch and see the whole scenery. Anyway, so we go ahead, I check out that boat, and then I'm going to head back over to this one. And I know as I was approaching here, I said to Tony, I was like, where are you at, HT? And he's like, oh, I'm over here by the river. So I knew I was good to fly nice and low, kind of. I was like, all right. But now I had to watch. I was getting a little bit jittery on the signal here because I'm kind of like behind a boat. So I'm not getting the greatest signal. But the Mini 2 does have great signal. So overall, it's going well. So I'm coming around here and, oh, sorry. Homie's at the door. Anyway, I fly around here and I'm just looking on my little screen and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, the Florence Spirit of Hamilton. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I see the flag. You can see it's pretty windy out. And then I said to Tony, I was like, holy shit, there's somebody on the boat. I can see the guy waving now. And I'm like, but I lift up. I don't want to bug the guy. You know what I mean? I couldn't, when someone waves, it's hard to say if they're happy to see you or not. And my experience, most people that you meet when you have a DJI going is that people are happy to see you. Hold on just one sec. I better go get my food. Okay, and now I got my food. And anyway, back to what we're saying, that normally people are happy. So I'm used to seeing people wave, and only once I think that I know of before had I seen someone wave and them not happy, and that was the time that the chick threw the rock at my drone. That video is on my channel too if you want to see. It was not a big deal though, she didn't hit it. So anyway, here I am just continuing minding my business. I'm like, all right, I'll continue flying the drone, checking shit out. I didn't want to bother the guy, but I was thinking he was just waving like, you know, as in hi and whatever. So now I'm looking around and let's have a look. What do I do? Oh, I spotted these birds. So I'm like, I spy me some birds. We're going to go down, take a look at those. Don't worry, this only lasts for a second. And it kind of makes it look like, you know, if you're in the Arctic, it would be like penguins or something. But I think this is just regular, boring old Canadian geese. It's hard to see on the little screen. I hit the zoom there, but anyway. So back to where we're at in the story. Flying my drone, I see someone, he waves, and I'm not really thinking much beyond that. I kind of, you know what I mean? I left the guy and just thought I would go on with my adventure. And so we're going to go ahead and turn back here. And that looks like a space shuttle launch pad thing, for the record. That big blue, whatever the hell. Anyway, so I'm going to come back in, do a nice little fly around the ship. And I was actually, honestly, I was surprised. The last thing I was expecting to see was somebody on a ship that's locked in with ice in February. Like, the ship can't go anywhere. I didn't really, not in a million years, expect anyone to actually be on it. So I'm not sure what homie was even doing. But I figured I'd come back, do a little flyby. Obviously, in my opinion, at a fairly reasonable distance. And here's where, you know, that 40% that dislike my videos or whatever, they'll be like, nope, 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 you went back to instigate, you went back looking for problems, whatever. Nah, I'm just looking to enjoy making my video. While I fly around, and before we get to the port guy, I'll mention that for DJI and any drone under 250 grams in Canada, the only rules that apply are not to fly in Class F airspace and not to interfere or be likely to interfere with any aircraft. There is a great video on YouTube of a guy that called Transport Canada, and I've called as well, but I didn't record my call, so I'm going to, hopefully I'll find it and I'll put a link below. A guy that calls Transport Canada and starts asking about the rules for flying over other people's property. So in an instance like this, you know, this is not my property. This is different steel mills and whoever's property it is. And we are parked on what we thought was just to be the side of like a road. That'll come up in a minute. But anyway, in Canada, the people on Transport Canada told them, like, ultimately nobody owns the air above their property. You buy your land, you own your land, but nobody owns the air. and the only place you can't fly though is Class F airspace. So keep that in mind. And then addition to that, there's like, privacy laws. So for spying and stuff like that, obviously that does not apply here. I'm not peeping in anyone's window. We're just out flying around a kind of a cool location. Not a big deal. And then here's where I'm flying back. And remember, Tony's sitting with me. And I'm like, hey, guess what? There's the port patrol on the bridge. And he's like, oh shit. And then Tony, I guess he just gets nervous. I think he's got warrants or something. I'm not really sure. I don't get into his business. But anyway, he's like, when I'm watching, I'd say the guy's coming or whatever. Right now, he's still sitting in my truck. And when the guy starts moving, he's like, oh shit. And he goes back to his car. So we're sitting here. We're going to watch this guy. Here he goes. Yep. He's looking. So obviously the guy on the ship called him and said, there's someone flying a drone here. That's my guess, right? Because how else would this guy know to come and look for a drone or whatever? So he didn't like turn on his lights at any point or anything like that. But all right, so now I'm watching. So there's Tony going back to his car. He's like, oh, I'm out of here, man. I'm not trying to get my house towed away, because he's homeless Tony, but he actually lives in his car. So anyway, he was going to try to skedaddle before the fuzz came around. And I was like telling him, I was like, yeah, don't worry about it, dude. And anyway, so he doesn't get out of there in time. Ultimately, the fuzz rolls up just like this. And it says, hey, come here, I want to talk to you. And so Tony's like, yes, sir. Tony's a lot more respectable than me. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm a bit of a prick. Tony's a respectable homeless gentleman. So now I've sped this part up a bit just to kind of speed it up. They're just sitting there talking. And Tony looks a little nervous. So I come over and I take over. And I say, what's good, man? And the guy says, you can't fly drones here. And I said, we absolutely can. And he's like, nope, it's against the rules. And I said, you guys may own the property. I said, so that's, you can say I can't take off and land from your property, but you don't own the airspace. And he's like, well, I'm just telling you what my boss says. And I said, anyway, I'm not going to sit and argue with you. But you can call Transport Canada. You can call the police. Tony's out. You see that? He's like, I'm out of here. I'm like, call whoever you got to call, man. Ultimately, everything was fine. The guy relaxed, and I told him I just wanted to educate him. It wasn't the end of the world, but unless I'm wrong, in my understanding, there ain't shit nobody can do. I did agree to move because he said it was private property so that we couldn't park there. But that's the story. Thanks for watching.